I was hoping to buy that last 30 seconds that she didn't use. Is that still possible? No? Okay. I'm Elizabeth Haines, and I'm a social psychologist. And I study the social psychology of how we form impressions of people. And basically, we form social categorizations of individuals based on 4 basic social categories. The basic ones being age, as we talked about earlier, gender, attractiveness, and gender, age, and race. So we call it ARG, A-A-R-G-H. I'm also the other blonde in a red dress who is not pregnant. So why are gender stereotypes important for understanding if we're going to understand authenticity? Gender stereotypes operate as descriptions in terms of they describe what most men and women do, and I'm going to talk about gender stereotyping today, but they also offer as prescriptions, shoulds, and they most importantly offer as proscriptions or should nots. So in order to understand gender stereotyping, I wanted to look a little bit about how gender stereotypes may or may not have changed in 30 years. So we had a data set from 1984, and then we also collected some new data in the same exact ways. This is a very classic study in gender stereotyping, looking at the traits, role behaviors, occupations, and physical characteristics that men and women are believed to have in the United States. So have gender stereotypes changed? What do you think? Yes? No? Yeah, nope. No, they haven't changed, okay? A surprisingly shocking amount of similarity between the 1983 data and the 2015 data. This was actually very depressing. I don't know if you know this or not, but we're having a replication crisis in social psychology. This was one finding we hope not to replicate. So people see huge differences between men and women as they did in the past. This is also different from what the gender similarities hypothesis shows from Hyde 2005. If you look at her overall D effect sizes is about 0.21. So what this means is that people are seeing gender stereotypes as strong as they were, but 5 times stronger than what they actually are in the other actual data. Okay, so one of the reasons why gender stereotypes have remained very sticky, this is about the stickiness of gender stereotypes, is that women have changed quite a bit, men have been a little bit slower to change. And stereotypes act as these force fields that prescribe people and proscribe people about what they should and should not do, and they make us kind of lopsided. So women make choices based upon femininity and what is appropriate for their gender, and so do men. And the main ways in which this happens is through breadwinner and caregiving prescriptions. So in order to understand a little bit about what keeps men from changing so little, we did a couple different studies. This is actually 5 studies in which we manipulated caregiving behaviors of a man, and we just changed whether he was in the park at 11 o'clock on a Saturday or 11 o'clock on a Tuesday. It's the same exact behavior, it's a different day of the week. People fill in with all sorts of different kinds of assumptions based upon what kind of breadwinner he is. And we said nothing about his breadwinner status. They thought the man who was caregiving on a Saturday as a super dad. He was awesome. He was obviously taking care of his caregiving responsibilities, but he'd already supplied enough information that he was a breadwinner just by day of the week. The one on a Tuesday, he was a total loser. They didn't like him. He was less competent. He was more feminine and less masculine. Just to give you an idea, these are some of the verbal responses that we have. He is not only disgrace to himself, but to all of society. The reactions were very visceral to him. Okay, many comments like this. There were a lot of positive comments about the dad caregiving for, there was lots of like, a pimp, he's a pimp, what is his, so I mean, there's all sorts of very negative. So these are the proscriptions about men doing things that would make them more equal, but there's stiff social sanction for engaging in these behaviors. We have 5 sets of studies that show this in particular ways. We can erase this effect, or we put a cell phone in his hand, and we have things like buy, sell, and that completely erases the effect. However, when women do that, their caregiver ratings go in the toilet, so it doesn't work the same way. Okay, so a third set of studies, or a line of research, we had Arlie Hochschild here today, one of my favorite people in the world. She's one of the reasons why I got into this. There is clearly a division of labor and a burden that women play in the household. that is unfair. We have just come out with a paper in the last 3 weeks that shows that there is mental health work too, and that women shoulder more of this burden as well. They do more of the remembering, the reminding of all the daily to-dos. They do this, they are expected to do this more as well. So just for some other things, both men and women assume that women will do more pro-social reminding. This is another type of emotional labor that women engage in. Thinking about other people's goals and responsibilities and reminding them about all those things takes a cognitive load or space. Men do reminding too, but it's oftentimes for tasks for which they are stakeholders in. So they would say, hey, honey, remind me I need to make that flight reservation. It's about their goals that they need to enact themselves. Women are much more likely to do it for others. So ask Siri is the response of when your husband asks that.